Alright, so you turn your key into the on position and your fuel pump is not engaging. You don't hear the fuel pump. Starter's working, but unfortunately your fuel pump went out because it's not getting fuel to the car. You throw on fuel in the throttle body injection in here, it starts up. So we know it's a fuel issue. I already checked the relay and it's good. I've replaced it with another one, it's still good. I checked the fuse, which is right here, and it's not popped. So obviously the fuel pump that I put in my car in 2009 has went out again. I was about to start the paint work on it, start the sanding, but now I gotta go and fix the fuel pump. Alright, first step is remove your negative cable from the battery. Alright, so I got Elston subframe connectors, so I'm using that to jack up the car because it's the lowest part of the car, as you can see, and I need to get the jack stands as high as I can. Alright, next take the filler cap off, and I just took out everything else there, put it in a little bucket, all the screws, and that just helps to remove the tank because this thing needs to move around in here. Alright, next I'm going to take the fuel that I put in here and take it back out and put it in a can, 5-gallon can. I think there's about 5-6 gallons in there, and what you want to use is a transfer pump like this one that I got here. I'll try to find this online, I'll put it in the description if I find it. And it's just you know, a little pump to get that fuel out of the tank so it's lighter and it's easier to remove. Alright, so next I gotta undo these 2 bolts here going onto the cat so I can disconnect that exhaust, and then the 2 hangers over here need to be undone so I can drop this exhaust because it's right under that fuel pump, I mean the fuel tank, which I'll show you real quick. There's the exhaust and there's the tank right there. There's the shield for it. So gotta have that hanging down. Alright, so on my setup it's a 15mm nut right here, bolt, and this thing here that I put here, this little line that was in here, I threaded that in years ago. That was where my fog juice was shoots in from a windshield wiper motor, so it will smoke out the exhaust when I want it to smoke, just like it was in the show. So I'm gonna go and take those undone. If you can get in there with one of these, it'd be better, but I don't think I'll be able to, so I'll just use a ratchet. Alright, those bolts came off really easy. This car has no rust on it whatsoever. One of the benefits of living in California is, well, at least where I live, Sacramento area, it doesn't rain that much here in the winters, so hard to get a rusted out car from California, at least where I'm living. And so now that's loose, and now I'll go and loosen up the exhaust. Alright, next I'm taking these 13mm bolts off right here, 2 of them. That way the exhaust will hang down, and I'm using my impact wrench so I can go quick. Get this on here. Okay, just like that, and you can see the exhaust is falling on me now. And this one is just held in there. You can pull back on it. You should be able to pull back. And if not, there's 2 bolts on that one, right up in there too, and you can unbolt that. I'm gonna see if I can just push it back because it does slip on there. Alright, next take a 7mm and get this heat shield off. There's a couple bolts in the back and a couple over there in the front. That's what I'm gonna do now. Alright, now with the heat shield gone, you can see the fuel tank, how big it is, and it goes way back there. And so I'm probably gonna have to take these off to pull that down. And the exhaust is kind of stuck here. I can't really move it out because it's not on a lift, and even if it was on a lift, I probably couldn't get it out because of the way this thing bends, and there's no clamp here to remove that, so it's kind of stuck there. So I'll be able to lower the exhaust down a little bit once I take these parts off, and put a jack under here, under the rear end. Make sure it doesn't, you know, if I have to, I'll have to undo the bolts for the shocks to really lower it and take the springs out, but we'll see. Alright, next I got to remove this track bar here and the stabilizer bar. 18mm nut, 21mm wrench on the back. Gonna pop those off, and then there's 3 bolts over here where my finger is. Those are 15mm. Take those off. Alright, so I took this tower brace off, the top one, all the way off, and I dropped this stabilizer bar, or not stabilizer bar, but this tower brace, strut tower brace, and I just dropped it on one side, and you could see in there it's pretty good. I might be able to pull it out like that without having to drop the drive shaft. So I'm going to try to pull the tank the way it is here. Worst case scenario is I got to go back and loosen up these bolts here for the shocks and drop it a little bit, but I'm going to try it this way first because it looks like it's kind of enough room to get it out. Alright, now next I'm just disconnecting these 4 hoses that go into the tank right here. Again, I didn't drop the rear differential because I think it's going to make it. Again, the manual says to take out the coil springs and all that, but I don't know. I'm guessing it's going to come out. So you can see how much the exhaust dropped, almost to the ground. Alright, all lines are taken off. There's one that's got to be taken off with the 16mm wrench, and the other ones are screw the clamps and they come out. And now all we have to do is get a 15mm and take off those little bolts. There's 2 of them holding the straps, and this thing should drop. Alright, took the 2 straps off, and this thing started to fall down on me, and I think it's gonna come out. The straps are a little bit in the way, but they have some flex to it. Alright, I did my best and it's not coming out. The stupid spring is in the way right there. The spring in the muffler, it's kind of, and that piece of metal there, that stamped piece of metal, it's coming down. Well, that's in the way, so because of the filler neck, see that it's hitting here, so I can't get it over enough. So I'm just gonna buzz the shock off real quick with the 7/8, and that should drop it. And I got my jack ready right up under that axle to catch it, and then we'll be able to get this out. I dropped it a few inches, and this thing should pop right out, just like that. Don't lose the little boot that goes on top like that. You can see there's a notch in it. When you put it back in, make sure it's sitting in the right notch. Okay, so yeah, that spring's in the way. See, now that gives me several inches to pull this. So I'm gonna go and try to wrestle this out now. Alright, so I ended up taking the knot off down here to the stabilizer bar, and you see it's all loose. Now I was able to drop the axle a little more because this muffler was still in the way. And now hopefully dropping this down more, I'll be able to pull that gas tank out. Most likely I will, because that's what the manual says, to do it like this and take the shocks or springs out, which I did. Thought I could do a shortcut, but nope. You have to do this because that filler neck, the way the hose goes up in there, it's too long. So anyways, these things were brittle. They're no good. Time to get some new ones of these. So I'll fix those too when I'm... Alright, so I had to drop that rear differential pretty low. You could see I left one tire on the car. It's pretty much almost all the way down, and one tire off, so you can see you got to get the tires almost all the way to the ground. And then what you want to do to get the tank out, I was trying to get it out like this, but getting it out like this doesn't work because that the fuel pipe going up there catches. So what you got to do is you got to push it forward in here into this area of the car, and then the pipe will come out once you have it forward, and then you can back it out and pull it out like that. And I dropped it right here through the back. Yeah, kind of a pain in the butt. You can see the spring's got to come out. Muffler's pretty much disconnected. See that? It's right here. It's got Flowmaster, new tips. But that's it for now. Here's the piece of crap fuel tank. Okay, and that's what's bad, is right in here. Next step, take a little screwdriver, put it on the edge here, and hit it with a little mallet, little rubber mallet, and go counterclockwise until this thing pops off, just like this. Okay, there's little grooves in there, you'll see when you start to do it. Okay. And there it is. Piece of crap. This thing was replaced, I think, in 2009, 2010, and it went out again, so and there's the problem there. It's probably this little pump that went bad, so I gotta go find a new one. I just ran 12 volts to this thing and no power, so it's definitely the fuel pump.